with you posting all your your thoughts online, you get a lot of hate from other Jews, mostly probably from Israel is my guess. How do you deal with that, or does it ever make you take a step back and be like, okay, should I be posting all this? Do you feel like you're in danger at all?
No, I mean it's it shows me that I need to be doing that even more. It's clearly I'm doing something right.
Good morning, afternoon, and night to wherever you may be.
You forgot evening. Good evening.
Fuck off.
Yeah,
anyway,
that's the most important one. That's the most professional sounding one. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome, friends, one and all. Friends, lovers, family members.
Lovers. How many lovers you got, bro?
Don't worry about it. Episode 17, Revolutionary Rhetoric Podcast. Welcome back.
Woo! Yeah, we got a special one for you today.
Special episode today. There's not going to be any real news today. In fact, what we're going to do is we had the distinct honor, the distinct pleasure of interviewing somebody that we both look up to, both a pretty, I disdain the word influencer, but for lack of a better term, leftist influencer in kind of the TikTok, Instagram, Twitter space. SallyHatesCapitalism was very kind enough to agree to kind of join us. I reached out to her a couple weeks ago over Instagram. She said, hey, we have this podcast. We'd love to have you on sometime and just kind of chat about, stuff. And much to my surprise, she immediately replied the same day or shortly after, yeah, sure, sounds great.
You're like, all right.
Okay. It's that easy, apparently.
Yeah.
So we connected, scheduled a time. This was a couple weeks in the making because we had some scheduling stuff going on. And then that happened not an hour ago. We got off the phone with Sally, or off the Discord with Sally Hates Capitalism. So we're kind of teasing into, this is recorded out of a little how the sausage is made, peek behind the curtain. You're seeing kind of the reverse order. We recorded the interview and now we're kind of doing the intro after the fact. Any thoughts? It was an awesome interview. I mean, she was great. Had a really good time. I did have to cut out. I had to run away, scamper away the last few minutes of the interview to deal with the personal emergency that had popped up. But I came back right at the end. I had to go run out and get milk. Sure. I had to go run out and get cigarettes. Only this time I came back. Unlike my dad, who never came back.
Are you serious?
No, I have never met my dad, but he didn't go get cigarettes. I think maybe he did. I don't know. I never met the guy. I don't know. I don't know the circumstances. That's a fun, depressing fact. I've never met my dad.
Oh God.
That took a weird turn, but yeah. So yeah, we did. We had a really great interview with Sally Hates Capitalism, and to tease next week, we're actually fortunate enough once again to welcome Mike from the Turn Leftist kind of podcast, Turn Leftist Network. It's kind of a whole Turn Leftist empire at this point between the meme accounts and the Discord server, the community server they run, the podcast network they have with all the different kind of podcasts that he hosts. All the Turn Leftist guys. I used to love the Turn Leftist podcast. They don't really post their legit the kind of week to week episodes anymore with the full round table of guys they used to have. But that was when I would just first coming, not to talk, we just interviewed Sally and now here I am talking only about Mike. But when I was first kind of coming into leftism, really getting into communism, it wasn't the deprogram that really guided me on that path. It was the Turn Leftist episodes. They did a full episode about a full series on Reagan and Thatcher and those kind of that era of austerity and deregulation. They did a whole they did series on Marx and Stalin and Lenin. So that was a really cool eye opening. So I'm very excited to talk to Mike next week. But enough about that futuristic thing. We're here to talk about Sally.
Yeah, what we have for you now is also a great episode.
Yeah, and
we hope to have her back.
Yeah,
that would be fantastic.
Absolutely.
Especially if we have an episode about the Palestinian-Israeli issue.
Yeah, which I'm certain that's obviously probably going to continue. I don't see that not being a continuous thing happening in the future. And we did touch on kind of the fate of Palestine, the future for Palestine, or at least kind of the Marxist, optimistic, hopeful future of what a free and democratic Palestine could look like. Yeah, exactly. We had a good conversation about that. Talked a lot about what it's like to be kind of a leftist influencer in the current just political climate of just constantly being barraged by information. Really good conversation. Yeah, all in all, it's about 45, 50 minutes. I think coming close to an hour of conversation with Sally. Super awesome. I don't know if you have anything else kind of to add to that.
No, let's get them into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, enough of us, you know.
Yeah. Without further ado, sit back, enjoy. Here is a just an awesome conversation with Sally Hates Capitalism. Well, hello and welcome, Sally Hates Capitalism. Thank you so much for joining us. We're truly honored. We were just talking off mic or off air that it was just kind of, we reached out and asked if you would just kind of come on and chat with us, and you just said, yeah, sure. Really, there was nothing to it, and you know, it was just so cool. We did the same thing with Mike from Turn Leftist. We reached out and just said, hey man, would you want to come do this thing? We're a new podcast, we don't really have many followers, we're just trying to chat with some people, you know, in the leftist kind of internet space. And he was just like, yeah man, sounds fun. And it's just great that, you know, the leftist community in general is just so like open to like kind of just work with one another, which I think is just awesome.
Yeah.
So
it's almost like an altruistic community. They don't really
yeah.
expect too much from anybody else, but we're all just trying to share this platform to, you know, talk about important issues.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. Sally Hates Capitalism, I said, is the Instagram handle, and you're on other platforms as well besides just Instagram. I'm a boomer. I've gone on record on this podcast multiple times to say that I don't know how to use Twitter or TikTok. I'm only on Instagram. I just barely got rid of my Facebook. I'm only 35, but I feel much older. So we have a few questions for you, if that's okay with you. If you want to introduce yourself,
no, it's good to be here.
The rundown on anything. So what you've been working on, but we're going to kind of get into that quite a bit with a few of these questions.
Sure. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm happy to be here. So yeah, I'll let you have at it.
Well, thanks. So the first one is kind of a general question we've asked, I believe, every guest we've had on. How did you come to leftism? I mean, the typical answer we always hear is it's the Bernie to like communism pipeline, or the, you know, Democrat to Bernie to communist. But not to speak for you, but how did you find leftism, communism? And I guess a second kind of question to that is, how do you identify as leftist? Like, what political ideology do you kind of, you know, wave the flag of?
Yeah, I'm a Marxist-Leninist. And definitely my story is that same, you know, basically I would say I was always more of that progressive type of liberal. Like definitely I've always leaned toward the left side of being a progressive liberal Democrat kind of thing. And always, you know, was paying attention, you know, closely to systems of oppression, injustice, and all of that. And then I think that it was, I mean, I remember, it's just, you know, it's so funny because I think a lot of us, not only that whole, you know, talking about starting with Bernie and kind of really waking us up to things little by little, to the point where we are now, where we're like, okay, fuck Bernie also, you know, and just kind of going and fuck the entire Democratic Party. But I also think like a lot of that started before Bernie and started with Obama, in the way that he helped a lot of us realize how, you know, how much we are lied to, and you know, how so many of us had so much hope for that hope and change.
Right.
And yeah, thinking that he was actually going to, you know, do what he said and care about the working class and care about racial justice and all of these issues. And having so much passion and energy into that movement, and then seeing how, oh wait, actually he's just the same as everybody, as all the other Democrats, and just serves Wall Street and doesn't give a shit about us. So I think we started to kind of wake up with that, seeing, you know, how much we were lied to, and what Democrats really are capable of, how they will use our energy and passion and just co-opt it and just be the same old bullshitters. And then, you know, it's like, I feel like a lot of us were like, okay, that didn't work. We're going to try this again with Bernie 2016. Okay, no, that didn't work. All right, this is it. This is the last, we're going to try it again 2020. And then realizing, you know what? Actually, no, there's zero hope that, and just little by little, it's definitely kind of like a little by little thing, realizing that that the problem is the entire system, and that it is capitalism. I mean, I started realizing that it's capitalism, probably. I mean, it was definitely before 2020 that I knew that. But, I don't even know exactly when. It was like little by little, just making the connection. Like, as soon as it made sense, as soon as I realized that, oh, well, wait a minute, this whole system of capitalism is the root cause of all of this. And then on that journey, at first being like, oh, I'm a democratic socialist, and then being like, oh, wait a minute, that's redundant. We don't need to say democratic, because socialism that's what being actually democratic means. And then little by little realizing, learning the details about Marxism and Marxism-Leninism. And for a while I was saying I was an anarcho-communist.
Sure.
Thinking like, oh, well, since the actual like official definition of communism is a classless, stateless, moneyless society, then that's why I was calling myself an anarcho-communist, thinking that that's what that represented, because it's stateless. But like, just kind of starting that, paying attention, following other Marxists, communists, and learning that the Leninist part has to do with, okay, well, how do we actually get there? And little by little understanding that the classless, stateless, moneyless society is the ultimate goal, but we cannot get there until we are going to use that state to have the workers own the means of production and make sure that that can happen. And you have to, I've more and more, I've just been understanding that you have to be fully aware of the threat that we're up against, and that obviously capitalists will never just hand over their wealth willingly. Right. And fascists, reactionaries, like, it's just, I feel like there are a lot of people who are very naive about the reality of what they're willing to do to never allow socialism to happen.
Yeah, I see that even with people that are willing to, or like that are on board with socialism, but like not to go as far as like Marxism, Leninism. Like they get up to the edge, but then they kind of like you mentioned, like they don't. The question I ask them is like, do you ever think that any one of these people would give up their wealth willingly, or give up this position willingly of owning the means of production, right? Like, is Bezos or Musk ever going to like willingly hand over the keys to a Amazon or Tesla factory? Well, no. And then that kind of moves into a different conversation of like, well, then how so do you then move forward after that? And that's kind of I think a good kind of test to see where someone lies. And you mentioned anarcho-communism. That was actually coming to my kind of a follow-up question, because it seems like, the transition from like liberal to progressive to kind of democratic socialist is a like a pretty slopey, gradual one. And then once you hit that kind of like actual leftism, in my experience at least, and I think most people hit like anarchism first, and then they like read a couple books, and then like it's a pretty sharp trajectory of like, oh, they always kind of end up at Marxism, Leninism. And I think there's truth behind that, because that's kind of where, well, at least in my experience and from my reading, like that's where like the truth lies. And like if you see this story to the end, like that's really the only path forward to like fight against and defeat like kind of fascist, reactionary kind of forces and quote unquote capitalism in the world. So yeah, I think I don't. It's just funny. Our stories kind of mirror each other almost to the T. I assume we're also probably close to the same age as well. So it's funny how
I'm a little bit older than you.
Oh, okay. Funny how that.
You said, what'd you say? 35? Yeah. I'm 42.
Oh, okay. Same like general.
Don't look like it.
Yeah. Same general.
Thank
area.
you.
All right, cool.
Sunscreen helps.
Sunscreen, right?
With that,
I just hang out in this basement. I don't go outside. That's
you don't need some sun.
Also living in Seattle. Yeah,
in Seattle, there is no sun here.
I haven't seen the sun in 6 months, but yeah. All right, so my follow up to that too is now. So now that you're you're in the Marxist-Leninist camp, you're you sound obviously well read and kind of understand the theory behind it. Are you involved in any of the local orgs? I don't know what the kind of the scene is in your city as far as like the Communist Party, PSL, DSA is everywhere, but assuming DSA being more of like a social democrat or a democratic socialist organization, like as far as like an actual Marxist organization, is there much movement in your city? I'm hesitant to say. I think I don't remember where you landed on outing your city, but
no. So we have PSL here. I am trying. There have been a couple of times recently that they had events that I was not able to make it to, that I was planning to make it to, and then stuff came up with my kids, and that's the thing. It's tricky in that regard, but and it's like, yeah, it's I follow my PSL St. Louis's Instagram. They've been going to like the St. Louis County Council meetings, and they've been trying to push for a ceasefire resolution. And so they've been doing that. They've been doing a lot of pro-Palestine things, but I haven't been able to make it out with them recently. But yeah, that is my goal. I'll be honest, like I really I hadn't been, like, I'm new to PSL. It's one of those things where I'm more recently kind of trying to get that direction toward how do I, like, what organization do I need to be a part of? And like in the past, I had only really heard about PSL and didn't know a lot about them. And that's something that I do want to be more involved in. It's tricky, not like to use it as an excuse, but like not only like having kids and having different things going on with them, but I also have fibromyalgia, and so then it's like that can be hit or miss with how I'm feeling that day if I'm having a flare up, especially like earlier, like mornings tend to be worse for me with like fatigue and like and muscle pain and stuff like that. So that can be unpredictable. So sometimes it's like, I feel like, hence why I try to emphasize this a lot, that there's all different types of ways that we can contribute.
Certainly.
And because I know there's other people who feel, guilty, or like they can't, people who aren't able to get out there. But yeah, that's a goal of mine, absolutely. Okay, is to get more involved. Yeah, and if there are other organizations that you think I should look into here in St. Louis, I don't really know. I don't really know about them.
I would assume so. St. Louis is a big city. I would assume there's going to be a chapter of the Communist Party, and it's pretty hit or miss. I mean, depending on the city, like a chapter, because Communist Party, just a peek behind the curtain for our organization that we're a part of, Communist Party USA. Every city is its own chapter, right? So there's a national, Communist Party, and then every city has a chapter. And it's, in my understanding, it's pretty hit or miss. I know like the Austin chapter is pretty big. The Phoenix, where I just moved from Phoenix to Seattle, so like that chapter, the Seattle I think is one of the biggest ones. So like Seattle's a bigger chapter. So it's kind of hit or miss depending on your city. I'm not familiar with St. Louis as a whole. I've actually never been to St. Louis, unfortunately. I don't think I've ever really been near St. Louis. I've been to Chicago. That's probably the closest I've ever been. But so I couldn't speak for that. I think, yeah, your best bet would probably just be checking out the different Instagram accounts for those things, and kind of going out to the rallies or the protests whenever they're kind of doing stuff. And there's always something going on. I mean, we're involved with the way Communist Party is set up. We're involved in just a bunch of different committees and commissions. Our big priority is kind of homeless outreach and like getting meals and supplies and stuff to homeless, as well as we also focus pretty heavily on labor or organizing, union organizing. As well as like educationals. Being Marxists, we're always reading and trying to push books on people. So that's kind of our three priorities. But I don't know. It's every chapter has different priorities and kind of different things. So I can't speak specifically to St. Louis. I should have, maybe that would have been a good research to do, is contact the St. Louis club. But I'm not sure. But
I mean, I should be the one. I should be doing that, really. But.
Well, moving on, if we can move over a little bit to talk about social media a little bit. That's where we know you from. I would assume it's where most of our people watching this, or most people in general, know you from, is your social media accounts, in particular your Instagram account. Why did you choose, or how did you choose, like leftist meme posting, or leftist, not meme, that's not the right term, but like informational posting as an outlet for your political views? Was that intentional, like kind of moving to like a news disseminating platform, or did that kind of just happen organically over time? Because if I'm not mistaken, I think you used to have 2 accounts, right? Like a personal and a news, and then have they just merged, or am I making that up? Is this years ago?
No, I had a personal one that got deleted.
Okay.
I was mass reported
Wow.
by fascists. Like for a long time, and the same thing happened to my Facebook. They were mass reporting me, and my Facebook account also got permanently deleted. So I also had I had an old Twitter account that also got deleted. I mean, it's just gonna happen. Like TikTok is crazy with this. I'm on, like, I've gotten like 3 accounts deleted by TikTok for pro-Palestine stuff.
I'm surprised
TikTok is the worst.
Yeah, I just don't think there's enough people watching yet for us to get deleted. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's unfortunate. I know. It's like that's not unique. Unfortunately, I know like it's like Turn Left is V6 is their current account or something. It's like it's just kind of par for the course of being a leftist content creator.
But it worked. It worked out because my last one was like just my name, and then I needed to make a new one, and I was just like, okay, Sally hates capitalism. Like that's the main thing. That's the main focus, that the root cause of all of this shit. So let's just get right to the point. Yeah, but no, but it definitely happened organically. I mean, even before I went like all out, and like little by little, I've been giving fewer fucks, like as the years have gone on. Like I definitely was, even before I was, I mean, that that goes together with like becoming a communist, right? Like obviously, like you give fewer fucks when you like actually realize exactly what's going on and what needs to be going on. And but yeah, no, that was definitely just me. I feel like it's just saying what is happening. What is that quote? There's some quote about something about that it's radical or that you just need to say exactly what is happening. I can't remember what it is. There's some really good quote about that. I don't know. It'll come to me probably later. Yeah, but just the fact that that's we just need to state exactly what is happening.
Yeah.
And we are so gaslit constantly. And so I think just to be very clear, this is what's going on. These are the reasons why this is going on, and this is why it's harmful, and just like just explaining it. And I guess it's like raising consciousness, and because we're all doing that together, because like it doesn't stop. Like all of us are we are constantly raising our consciousness and learning more and more and making connections and how everything is connected. But yeah, no, that all of that definitely happened organically. It's just like, awesome. I got to talk about this. I have to say, because this shit is so fucked up. And I've just thought for a long time, it's like, the biggest problem I think in our society is that things have been like normalized and legitimized that should have never been normalized. Like things that it's like, this shit is not normal. Like, what a sick society. 100%. Why do we just every day act like it's just perfectly normal, like that all these people are just dying on the streets, for example? Or
yeah,
I mean, there's so many things
before where it's just like, it's just kind of to the point where it's just a mild inconvenience that there may be like a homeless person either dead or dying like on your yard.
Yeah,
so it's just like where it's like that should like disgust and sadden you, but it's kind of just, it's so normalized to the point where it's just a mild inconvenience. Yeah,
it's become dumb.
Yeah,
and it's important as kind of as Marxists, I feel that we are the few, kind of one of the few groups that like see that for what it actually is, which is just awful, as opposed to just being an inconvenience. So I couldn't agree more. I mean, that's it's really interesting.
Exactly.
Being a 9th grade history teacher, like I mentioned, is like talking about all these historical things that happened, because we do like modern world history from like 1500s on or whatever, and it's like how all of these are actually just like problems of capitalism, and like that's something you don't really learn in school. And I'm always really like pretty quick to just be like, yeah, and this wouldn't have been this way if it weren't for capitalism. And it's just like looking at the world through that lens is just, it's very eye-opening. And yeah, I think that's well said. Speaking of posting, you post a lot, not in a bad way, but you're pretty much you're a constant popping up on my feed, and I'm sure that's part of that's the algorithm. And so this is kind of just like how do you do it question, because I don't have any kids. It's just me and my wife, and we're exhausted just doing this. How do you balance? I guess this is more like a lifestyle question. How do you balance being a wife, a mother of a full time, or I believe you work full time, in addition to being like a full time Instagram content creator? How do you manage that?
I mean, I don't even think of myself as being like a content creator, because it's like I'm just posting, because I'm not like some people feel like I don't know, I feel like a content creator
political and
puts
activist.
more definitely, it's definitely activism, but it's like I just think it's just posting. It's just stating. I mean, some stuff will take more time in terms of, like especially when I see, I see a video and I, screen record a video and I edit sometimes videos to make them more easily digestible. I'll add captions to things. That probably, some stuff like that can take a little bit of time, but really I mean, my full-time job, like I'm fortunate that the job I have, I work from home. Usually, not always. Like I will sometimes go to like I work with people with developmental disabilities. I basically like put them in touch with resources and support providers and things like that.
Awesome.
And so, but it's mostly from home, but then like I'll go meet with them in their homes sometimes, but it's super flexible. And but that, like the working from home, and the flexibility, like it makes it easy. It's kind of, it's easy to do that. But it's just one of those things where like all this stuff is always on my mind anyway, and it's like this I need that outlet to, like, the fact that I can discuss this stuff with other people, and I can see others, and I can learn from other people and read from other people and hear about things going on. And of course, as we know, the mainstream news media is really not telling us the full story about what's happening, and it's nice to be able to actually learn the details of what's really going on. So it's like it definitely, it can be draining at times in terms of the emotional toll of just really thinking about how fucked up all of this shit is. Most definitely, but it's like it feels better to at least be talking about it, speaking out about it, raising awareness. And I get a lot of really positive messages from people thanking me for drawing attention to these issues, like especially regarding Palestine and the genocide against Palestinians. And I guess especially as a Jew, that people, appreciate. I think people tell me, I think also that just the fact that, I guess that I go so hard about it, that I'm like, not trying to, like how I said, like the giving no fucks, and just saying it exactly. This is exactly what's going on, and this is exactly how fucked up this is, and that some positions are completely unacceptable and are cruel and sociopathic, and so it's basically, it's like, it actually, for me, I feel like it helps me get through the day to be able to like getting it out. It's like stuff that's like would be in my head anyway because I'm naturally, paying attention to these things that are going on. Like I can't just like ignore them and have this like small little world. Like that's just not me. I'm paying attention. This is what's going on. And even if I'm not paying attention, it's going on regardless.
Right.
Like this genocide is happening. Yeah, even if I'm not watching the news or thinking about it, it's like that doesn't make it stop happening.
Yeah.
And so it's like for me it's helpful to at least feel like I'm doing something in terms of getting it out there, raising awareness, communicating with others who are just as angry and about this shit as I am. Connecting like with people like you, like it's cool, to find that there are other people who get it and who, because like how I said, the fact that we're being gaslit all the time and made to feel like we're somehow freaks for caring about all of this horrific stuff that's happening, all of this horrible violence that's happening to people. So it's like, oh no, I'm not the only one that cares about this.
Right.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, as I know that you're Jewish, right? And with posting all the stuff online, what kind of adversities do you face? Because I know when with you posting all your thoughts and whatever comes to your mind online, you get a lot of hate from other Jews, mostly probably from Israel, is my guess. How do you deal with that, or does it ever like make you like take a step back and be like, okay, should I be posting all this? Do you feel like you're in danger at all?
No, I mean it's like it shows me that I need to be doing that even more. Like clearly I'm doing something right. It's like and I think that for so long, we anti-Zionists in general, but especially us anti-Zionist Jews, like we have been quiet because we have been so like intimidated, browbeaten, and ostracized, especially for us anti-Zionist Jews, like within the community, as if caring about the lives of Palestinians somehow makes us a bad Jew, a self-hating Jew. And I mean, it's so insane. And and if anything, and to go back to like the previous question about how if it can be hard with all of this, that to me lately has been the most depressing thing, where sometimes I just like stop and I'm like wow, what has happened to like my people, like to the fact that it is so common to really like just completely view all Palestinians as inferior, as subhuman, and it just boils down to that. And I don't think I knew it had been bad. It's like really I didn't realize it was this bad. But then at the same time, more and more I keep seeing more and more anti-Zionist Jews speaking out. And we're definitely still the minority of Jews at least in the United States, probably in the West, but I don't think we're as small of a minority as we had been led to believe, and I think it's growing every day.
For sure, I'd agree with that. I mean, just from what I've seen, I have a handful of Jewish friends, in and around the Arizona area, and I would agree with that. I think I'm seeing the same thing of like it's not a monolith by any means. So,
right.
Awesome. So speaking of Palestine, and kind of moving into like that realm, there is so much kind of new information coming out. I know because we do this weekly. We record kind of when we don't have a guest on. It's more of just like updating news, and we tend to kind of avoid like domestic congressional. I mean, we will do like congressional updates, but we haven't talked about Trump at all. It's in the 16, 20, 18 weeks we've been doing this because we just kind of don't care about following Trump's cases anymore.
It's been
I don't know.
Yeah.
Man. It's
All of that just seems boring to me now because it just seems so inconsequential.
Exactly.
When you're dealing with something
Oh
like
my God, completely.
Palestine is just like, what do I care what Trump's court cases are going on? So
right.
To that end, so like regarding kind of Palestine and how much new information is coming in at such a fast pace, and you do such an excellent job kind of parsing through that and like disseminating that out to people. How do you like? First of all, how do you kind of keep up with that rolling information? You've kind of addressed that a little bit, I guess, but then also like where do you get your where is all this coming from? Is just how do you curate that list, I guess, or is it just kind of different accounts that you follow, different news outlets that you follow, and you just kind of, you mentioned also that you kind of will cut it up, make it a little more digestible, and then repackage it up to kind of your followers.
Yeah, that's really what I try to do, is just like to get as precise as possible with, you know, what exactly is going on here. Cut through the bullshit, because we are fed so much bullshit. Yeah. So, but sorry, can you repeat that? Like, what was the question?
Was pretty meandering. I don't know. I lost the thread of my own question anyway. All of the kind of components of it, you've also kind of answered. So I should have just moved on from that question. But actually, something, because you did mention about like the state of like Zionist Jewish people versus anti-Zionist Jews, and kind of where that conversation is heading in conjunction with what's going on with Palestine. Like if and when a future Palestinian kind of state forms, depending on, I guess at this point, which would be like the best possible outcome of what's happening currently, what do you think like the ethical solution to the current Jewish population living in Palestine would be? And kind of the follow-up question of that is, I guess, is like, are you in favor of, this is a very boring question because I think it's kind of there's more nuance than just are you in favor of a one or a two-state solution? Like the obvious answer is one-state solution. I would imagine from just how you post. Yeah. Yes. But how and what would you say is kind of the ethical solution for like the Jewish population still living in the Levant region?
Yeah, I mean, definitely one state. And I got involved recently with ODSI, One State Democratic Initiative. I was contacted on Twitter about that. We've had a couple group meetings, and it's a really good mix of people of Arab and with Muslim backgrounds from different countries. Like there's a guy from Egypt who he lives in Canada now, but he's the original one who got me into it. And there's several anti-Zionist Jews that are in it as well. But yeah, so definitely check out ODSI.
Making a note of that for sure.
Yeah, one Democratic State Initiative.
Okay.
But yeah, I think absolutely the solution is to completely dismantle the power structure of Israel. And so it's like we just, we have to be clear that is what, when we say from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, it is, and then it's, of course, it's so freaking ridiculous how Zionists want to pretend like, oh, that means genocide against, genocide. I mean, obviously that's, yeah.
We've heard that.
Like, obviously that's not
the argument, time and time again.
Yeah, they know they're full of shit, and it's always projection because they're literally actively doing the genocide 100%. Right now. And so, yeah, it's like the Israeli government, this actual power structure of Israel, has only ever existed as this racist, violent, terrorist organization, which of course it's hilarious. They project and they call Palestinians terrorists. But it's like ever since Israel became a state in 1948, but before that, even for several decades before that, when Zionist terrorists were there and trying to get to the point of making the state of Israel. And so it has always been about being colonizers, being, stealing land, stealing Palestine, and doing so with horrible violence. And then creating this racist apartheid state, this violent, brutal military occupation, and constantly keeping Palestinians subjugated, oppressed, and that is all it's ever been. And it's a Jewish supremacist state, and it really is just another version of what the Nazis were doing in Germany. And so it's not as if Zionists opposed the Nazis on principle. They just didn't like the version of that ethno state, because they're doing the same thing in ethno state. It's just, instead of it being a white supremacist ethno state that excludes Jews, it's a Jewish supremacist ethno state, and it excludes Palestinians. And it's so ridiculous. And they can define Jew however they want, and that's why they accept converts. Of course, they're not going to accept any Palestinian who converts to Judaism. They're not going to accept someone who is, an Arab of a Muslim background. And as long as you're fully on board with their genocide and their ethnic cleansing and apartheid, they will accept you in if you help that power structure of the settler colonial state. But yeah, I mean, it's got to go, and it needs to be a fully one democratic state. And then when people ask, oh well, but where do the Israelis go? The thing is, it's like, okay, step one is just to get rid of this power structure, this violent genocidal power structure. But really, at the end of the day, I don't think that Palestinians are calling for every single person who is an Israeli to leave.
Yeah.
I think that they're calling for the genocide to stop, the ethnic cleansing to stop, the occupation to stop, get rid of the checkpoints, get rid of this apartheid, state, all of this power structure. And obviously Palestinians need to have full human rights, equal human rights, freedom of movement, the right of return, all of these things. And I think that with full freedom, full humanity, full human rights, like as long as that can happen, they can allow the people who live there to decide. And the thing is, if there is any Israeli who is too scared of Palestinians actually having full equal human rights, and is too afraid of allowing a true democracy, which would mean it would be majority Palestinian, if you're not okay with that, well then yes, you have to leave.
Yeah.
It's like, as long as you see Palestinians as human beings, as your equals and deserving of full equal human rights, it's probably you can stay, and that's not really going to be an issue. But it's like, if you're not willing for that to happen, and you're going to try to stop that from happening by doing violence on the Palestinians, well then you're going to deserve the worst violence to happen to you, and you got to go, But it's the same way that it's like I say it like this. When slavery was ending in the United States, it's like, oh no, well, what about, the white enslavers? Like, well, where are they supposed to go? Or like, work. Of course, South Africa. Like, where are the, Afrikaners, the apartheid enforcers in South Africa? Where are they supposed to go? Like, that's really beside the point, and it's not really...
Right.
Doesn't really matter. It's not really the thing to focus on.
Well, you touched upon something too. We had this conversation. It was one of our early episodes, kind of at the outset of the new October 7th, post October 7th push. We did a pretty deep dive on just the history of that region, kind of from beginning of time to now. We kind of, as the history teacher in me, I went a little deep on that, the ancient history of it. And what we kind of touched upon and mentioned was that there's really been no more peaceful time in that region than when Arabs were in control, even for both, even for it was the Ottomans, I suppose, but even for Jews, for Arabs, for any religion, any people that lived in that region prior to the formation of Israel. That's when that place was really peaceful. So you have historical evidence to fall back on of well, when it's not in quote unquote Israel's control under that structure that you mentioned, like it is peaceful, or at least it's
any
capable.
colonial
It's
control at all.
well, fair enough. Yeah, it is capable of peace, and so that is at least gives us some kind of optimism, some hope that like for a future democratic state, it is possible, and it's proven to be possible just looking back through history.
Exactly.
Final question for me. I apologize. We can cut this part from the video, but we're having a car delivered. I have some personal stuff, so I may have to run out of frame for just a moment to make a phone call. My wife is trying to schedule something, but I'm going to ask this question, and then feel free to answer with just you and Kanan can finish up, and I'll be back as quick as I can. So the next and kind of final question is moving away from Palestine onto domestic news, something we touched on, I think, at the very beginning, or maybe we weren't recording yet. I don't really recall, is where do you stand on electoral politics? We've been pretty open, but maybe a little too aggressive so against like voting is largely a performance. It's largely like we're pretty down on voting in general. We do have, I am going to vote this 2024 election. I like De La Cruz and Garcia, so the PSL candidates, assuming that they're vote forable come November. I'm happy to cast my vote for them in November if they're still on any type of ballot. This is a very open-ended, very broad, very big question. Kind of, where do you stand on electoral politics? Do you have any kind of favorite candidates in the race this year? Are you a West fan, a De La Cruz, Garcia fan? I know that there's
Crystal Mommy Williamson.
Crystal Mommy Marianne Williamson. Yeah.
Oh my
gosh.
Guess
the bigger question is like, where are you on electoral politics? And with that, I'm going to step away for just a moment. I apologize. I'll listen. I'll make sure to listen back to your answer.
Go get your card. Dude.
Yeah, I gotta get the car. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I am gonna vote for PSL for Claudia De La Cruz and what's the vice presidential candidate's name? Karina. Yeah, Claudia and Karina. Yes. That's right, Karina. Yeah, Claudia and Karina. I am gonna vote for them. Really though, the way I understand it, like with PSL, is like they're basically just utilizing all of the attention that comes with the presidential elections and how this kind of circus is every 4 years, and that they're using that to their advantage to try to get more people on board with the socialist movement. And that to me, that's smart. That makes sense. And it's a way to get your message out there more and for more recruitment and get your name out there more as an organization and to promote the socialist agenda. And that makes sense, especially considering that, there are baby leftists. There are people who are really new to being a leftist, being a socialist, and they're really accustomed to voting in presidential elections and to caring about it. And so I think from that, a lot of other things can come. And so I understand that I love that, I've seen Claudia De La Cruz talk about how she is not only focused on voters, but they're speaking to non-voters as well. And I just love that so much. I hate how these politicians, they're not even going to bother with your existence. They don't care at all. They don't care about anybody's existence if you're not rich. If you're not a rich donor, obviously, but they extra don't care about you if you're not even potentially going to vote at all. And obviously, there's a huge number of people in this country who just don't vote for all sorts of reasons, and mostly that this system is a joke and doesn't care about them. But yeah, I don't personally care one way or another if a person votes or doesn't vote. I do think it's a performance. I do think that ultimately we don't have democracy under the system. Capitalism is anti-democratic, but especially in this country, in the United States, it's extra bad. And so I probably will vote for Claudia and Karina. I think that is a nice way to make it known that you did vote, you did take the time to do that, but that you are a socialist. You're making it known, you're a socialist, you want socialism, but that along with that, becoming, I do plan to be more actively involved with PSL moving forward and trying to get involved in other ways with socialist organizations.
Absolutely. And like when you look at it, it's like, yeah, obviously they're not going to win. Everybody knows this, but it's like if we
Yeah.
can make at least show that there is a presence of socialists, communists,
Yes.
Marxists, even some sort of leftists that don't know who they are, you
Mm-hmm.
you can kind of give like an idea of how much this leftist movement is growing. And it might not be in this very election, but we could at least give the next 4 years after this election kind of like a real run for a democracy's money. It's like if we're going to do this and democratically, the next 4 years would probably be our best bet because being honest, Trump is probably going to win because Biden is not very favorable right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if he passes away, it's Kamala Harris, which is even worse. I'd rather have Biden
Yeah.
in office.
I know, right? Yeah.
And so at that point, it's like that. If we're going to make a plea for a socialist system democratically, I think that would be the best time because Trump is just going to absolutely destroy the entire system. If it's not already destroyed. But yeah, moving on from that, I just wanted to bring some stuff up from the news and get your opinion on it.
Okay.
Okay, so kind of bringing it back to Palestine because obviously that's just on the news constantly. What did you think about? Well, this relates to Palestine a little bit, but what do you think about like the whole drone strike that happened in Jordan? I don't know if you heard about that.
I don't know if I did. No, tell me about
So this is very recently. My knowledge is fairly minimal as well. So basically, Biden blames the U.S. military because apparently they didn't know there was there's a U.S. drone that was sent over into Jordan, and the U.S. had a military base there, and it killed 3 U.S. soldiers. From what I know, they're blaming like Iranian military groups, not like the literal military, but like conscripts and stuff like that. That's backed by Iran, but I don't think they know who it is exactly. And so, do you think at this point that there could be some sort of invigorated like regional war that's going on, or perhaps do you think America could ever do something like they did with Cuba or Vietnam, where they staged an attack just to do a full force attack on Iran or the other states in the Middle East?
Yeah, nothing would surprise me. I mean, I wouldn't put it past the U.S. government. And really, it's like we shouldn't be having military bases everywhere. Like, let's just get the fuck out of there. I mean, it's insane. I don't know. I don't really know what else to even say about it. Just that I feel like part of being a communist also is just like nothing shocks you anymore. Like when you really understand this stuff in depth, you understand how capitalism works, imperialism, how empire functions to maintain itself, to keep making sure that the capitalists can keep their wealth and can keep taking more and more of it. Like this is the psychotic shit that they do. And it's very concerning. It's just everything that they do just keeps showing you that we have to end capitalism. I don't know. I don't really know what else to say about it.
Yeah, it's a lot of people are pointing out this is kind of like the late stage capitalism where imperialism is kind of like the basic sense of the economy, where like they have to keep war going to keep the economy going because a lot of the economy is tied on warfare, and so they're just taking any reason, like the bombing of Yemen. Did they really have to bomb Yemen? No, I mean, even Biden said this himself in a recent interview. It's like, if we bomb Yemen, do you think they're going to stop? No. Are we going to continue bombing them? Yes.
Yeah.
So what's your incentive in bombing them? The more bombs that are dropped, the more they have to sell, and so
exactly
they're making money at the end of the day, which is it's very dystopian, I may say.
Yep.
I think we ran out of questions for you, Sally. Do you have anything else you would like everybody here watching to know? Where can we reach you?
Yeah. No, I can. I guess I'll just.
Any projects going on?
No, not really. It's just the same, just I'm Sally Hates Capitalism on Instagram. I'm Hates Capitalism on Twitter. And yes, I think we should dead name Twitter because, the
Absolutely.
top transphobe there loves dead names, and so we can dead name his stupid ass corporation
I refuse
because
to call
X
it
is
X.
Yeah, no.
yeah, it's so stupid. X is it's so dumb. But don't dead name trans people. I'm saying just for a corporation, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
I mean, not that it's actually a dead name. That's not what that is. But anyway,
Sure.
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
But you follow me. But yeah, so yeah, Sally Hates Capitalism on Instagram, Hates Capitalism on Twitter, and then I currently have 2 TikToks, and so they keep banning, like I said, on TikTok. But I currently have Sally Hates Capitalism 2 is active, and then I also have as a backup Sally Hates Capitalism 4. I did have 3, and then that just got banned. So 1 is banned for good, 3 is banned for good, and so I got 2 and I got 4. I also have a Sally Hates Capitalism Facebook page as well. I don't that one's not it has this big, and that's the thing. It's like it's all about the algorithm, and it's like some of these companies have an algorithm that might be a little bit more favorable to us sometimes than others. On Facebook lately, it's not been so great. I mean, it sucks. But that's
Oh, they fucking hate us.
Yeah,
every
that's
day.
Yeah, we were
kinda
gonna talk. We
Yeah.
I don't know. There's that whole thing today where the Zuckerberg just appeared before Congress today and apologized for the young girl, the 11-year-old who killed herself because of Facebook. I guess Zuckerberg's in hot water today in front of Congress, but it's too new for me to really wrap.
I
my
saw
head
that
around this.
headline.
Yeah, I haven't really dug into it. It's a pretty sad story either way. So apologies to miss your last few minutes there. I'm excited to listen back to that in the recording.
That's okay.
Well, it sounded like you guys were just wrapping up. I'm kind of coming in.
Yeah, we finished with all the
perfect.
questions. I was just letting her take the floor to
Sure.
explain where they can find her at,
Awesome.
and if she has any projects that she would like to say is
Awesome.
upcoming or anything like that.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. We couldn't appreciate that more. You were such a gracious guest. We appreciate that.
We would love to have you again sometime soon.
Yeah, if you're ever in the mood, come back. We'll talk about some real news. I know we didn't get to too much today. And apologies to just randomly run away there.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
No, it was good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Well, that was our conversation with Sally Hates Capitalism. We really hope you enjoy that. We just wanted to stick around a little bit, kind of pop our heads back in the room at the end, just with our kind of always weekly reminder. Give us a like, a share, a follow on social media, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. Certainly subscribe, like, share on YouTube. That's what we're really trying to kind of build, as well as our social medias. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Give us an email, revolutionaryrhetoric@gmail.com. If you want to be on the show, if you want to just chat with us, send us an email. If you want to have something we want to talk about, a news story you think we missed. Revolutionary Rhetoric, wherever you get your Instagrams, your Twitters, your whatnots, your tweets.
They're all plural.
Yeah, they're all plural. Your Instagrams, your TikToks.
Fucking boomer.
Join CPUSA, join PSL, get out and get organized within your community. That ended up being a Spider-Man thing. I did join CPUSA, join not DSA, PSL, join Mutual Aid. Get out there in your community. Help out.
Yeah. And I hope you enjoyed that episode.
Yeah.
Again, don't forget to subscribe. A lot of you guys watch but are not subscribed.
Bad on you. Shame on you.
Shame. Shame.
Shame.
Was that what?
Shame.
Cue the meme with the bell. Shame.
The bang, the Game of Thrones thing? Yeah.
Shame. 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 Shame.
All right, guys. Yeah, if you want to watch another video, they'll be popping up right about here soon.
Yeah, and
somewhere.
check the description below for all of the links to all of the socials. So if you don't want to type anything in, or you weren't paying attention when I said Revolutionary Rhetoric, click the link below.
Socials are in the info before.
Yeah, and then send us a DM on Instagram. I'll chat with you. Sure, I'm at school all day, just doing nothing. I'll chat with you on Instagram. Slide into my DMs. Boo.
I gotta warn your wife about you.
Oh yeah, all my lovers and all these people sliding into my DMs.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Take it easy.
Take it easy, guys.
Oh, guys, take it easy.